Unexpected arrival. Fortunately, they heard horses approaching the house and assumed their mother had returned. They made sure to look out the window to confirm it. Mother's back, and it looks like she didn't come alone. She's with a lady. Father, please stay in bed until we bring you water to wash up and prepare the tea, all right? Eva asked. I demand that you bring me water to wash up now. I warn you, if you take too long, I won't wait much longer, and... Hawk was angry, behaving like a child. His face flushed with rage. Yet, his daughters couldn't help but laugh. One of his mistakes was applying his tyrannical behavior, not just with his soldiers, but also with his family, without realizing the error. His daughters, however, loved him and forgave his faults. Concerned about his health, they left the room and locked the door. Hawk realized they had locked him in and began shouting angrily, muttering incoherent things. Instead of hastily obeying their father's command, the young ladies decided to properly prepare for the arrival of their mother and her mysterious guest. We need to wear our best dresses, Zanina added as she stood with Eva outside their father's room. Without wasting time, they headed to their room, and while getting ready, they made plans for the rest of the day. Eva finished getting ready first, and waited for Zanina to do the same. Eva, we don't have much time. Go downstairs first to greet Mother's guest, and I won't be long after I'm dressed. I'll also make sure to help Father wash up and prepare midday tea for all of us without delay. All right, Zanina, but hurry up, because you know I get embarrassed when a stranger comes to our house. Don't worry, I'll be gone for only a few minutes, but don't let Mother and her friend go upstairs to Father's room. Oh, and don't forget something important. What should I not forget? Eva asked, anxiously. That she doesn't remember her relationship with Erica, the arguments with Mother. So, this is what we've wanted for so long, but you're forgetting that he wants to return to his duties in the army. How are we going to make him forget his longing? Eva, we have plenty of time to consider that. Go now, and do as you're told. Stay calm, Eva whispered. She quickly left their room and hurried down the stairs because she was eager to meet her mother's guest. At that moment, Sarah entered the house with a tall woman wearing such a large hat that she couldn't see in front of her. When Mother saw Eva, she smiled and said, Eva, my dear? Yes, Mother. Where is Zanina? I want to introduce you to my cousin Louisa. She's the woman I told you about. Ah, yes, I remember. Zanina is getting dressed and will come down immediately. Eva hesitated to say anything else and raised her hand in a polite gesture to greet Louisa. But Louisa approached her instead, kissed and embraced her, causing her hat to fall off. Unfazed, Louisa picked it up and said, So, you're Eva. I've heard so much about you. Your mother always told me what a sweet girl you are. Eva smiled and quietly replied, Thank you for the kind words, Mrs. Louisa. I don't like Mrs. Louisa. We're family now. From now on, you will call me Aunt Louisa. Indeed. Eva kept smiling, though she felt a deep sense of embarrassment. Her face had turned so red that Sarah quickly stepped in to save her from the awkward situation. Louisa, come, let me show you around the house. Then we can sit down for tea, so you can get to know my daughters better and your husband? Aunt Louisa interrupted with irony and disdain, glaring at Sarah. Sarah had confided in her about the incidents involving Hawk in the past, and Aunt Louisa had made it clear she disliked him, even though she had never met him. She answered her own question, her expression shifting from cheerful to cold the moment the word husband was mentioned. Some other time, Sarah felt relieved by Louisa's response, as she had no desire to talk about Hawk at that moment. She quickly changed the subject, steering the conversation away from her husband. I would love to show you around, but right now I could really use a warm cup of tea. A warm cup of tea? Or a cold beer? Oh, how I'd love a beer right now. Aunt Louisa suddenly stopped herself. She realized that such remarks were not appropriate in front of Eva, and thought it wiser to remember her Manisto always set a good example for her nieces. She continued in a more composed manner. "I must go. I need to prepare the house because tomorrow, my nephew and I are hosting a dinner party and, of course, your daughters are invited." Aunt Louisa pulled 2 invitations from her bag and handed them to Sarah. Sarah glanced at them briefly before looking at her cousin with displeasure. "Louisa, I wish you could stay for tea and meet my other daughter. I'll meet her tomorrow, and besides, they'll have the chance to make new friends. Don't forget to bring them at 7 in the evening." Rest assured about their return, James will escort them and watch over them, as if they were his own family. With a knowing look, Aunt Louisa leaned in and whispered to Sarah in a hushed, conspiratorial tone. "To tell you the truth, one of the reasons I'm hosting this party is to give James a chance to meet the woman of his dreams. If he knew, he'd be quite displeased, but..." As Aunt Louisa spoke, Eva suspected she would never stop talking unless someone interrupted her. She sighed, growing more anxious as she remembered that her father was waiting. She silently prayed for her sister to come down quickly. Her thoughts were suddenly interrupted by Zanina's cheerful voice, which instantly put her at ease. "Mother!" Zanina hesitated briefly on the stairs before rushing down to greet Aunt Louisa with a warm kiss, saying, "I'm so happy to see you." Aunt Louisa turned first to Sarah, who was beaming with pride at her daughters, and said, "Sarah, you've been hiding these delightful girls from me all this time. I ought to scold you for that." Then, she turned to Zanina. "My dear Zanina, the pleasure is all mine. You know, I've always wanted children, but my poor husband passed before he could give me that gift. Eva is a lovely name, but for a charming girl like you, I can't bring myself to call you Zanina. So, I shall call you Josephine, the name I would have given my own daughter." Zanina glanced at her mother, who showed no sign of disagreement. Finally, she gave in to her aunt's unexpected whim. "Yes, madam, as you wish." Aunt Louisa gave her a gentle pat on the back and said warmly, "Not, Madame, call me Aunt Louisa, Josephine." "Yes, Aunt Louisa." "Wonderful. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me." Aunt Louisa kissed the young ladies on the cheek and, after bidding them farewell, left with Sarah, who wished to accompany her outside. "I'll be expecting you all tomorrow," Aunt Louisa called out from a distance. As soon as she left, Zanina quickly shut the front door and remarked, "So, tomorrow we are invited to Aunt Louisa's for dinner. Zanina, can you finally tell me what took you so long? Were you getting dressed? Or eavesdropping?" "Both," Zanina answered proudly, but her expression suddenly changed as she remembered their father. "We're late. I'll go fetch water from the well. And you, Eva, must prepare the tea. Father must be fuming by now." They both laughed at the thought and hurried off to their tasks. Within minutes, Zanina was in Hawk's room with a pitcher of water in hand. He neither thanked her nor spoke a word, his expression dark with irritation, as though her presence alone was enough to unsettle him. She helped him wash and dress, and after a while they made their way downstairs, where Eva had already set the table for their midday tea, accompanied by an assortment of sandwiches. Hawk's only concern was why he hadn't been served breakfast, and how they had skipped straight to tea without the usual morning breakfast. However, he didn't bother to ask, leaving his question unanswered as he remained silent until Zanina made him an unexpected offer. "Shall we go for a walk?" she suggested. "Sarah, I want my best shoes ready. I'm going out for a walk with our daughters," Hawk called out. Sarah was still not home. She was busy running errands outside, but Eva found his shoes and helped him put them on. Once they were all ready, they stepped outside. However, as soon as Hawk saw the bright sunlight, he hesitated, suddenly regretting his decision to leave the house. "Come now, father. We won't go far. It's a beautiful day and you need some fresh air," Eva encouraged. But Hawk behaved like a stubborn child and sat down on the ground in protest. Seeing no other option, the two sisters decided to ignore him and walked ahead, keeping an eye on him from a distance. As they strolled, they teased each other about Aunt Louisa's nephew. "I wonder if he's handsome. Zanina, I'm certain you will faint the moment you see him. Eva, I will chase you down and tickle you until you can't breathe from laughter." For the first time in a long while, they were laughing and playing without a care, free from the weight of their troubles. Their joy was infectious, and even their poor father, momentarily forgetting his sour mood, found himself distracted, playfully reaching out to catch butterflies. When the sisters finally grew tired, they sat down on the grass to rest. Not long after, Sarah spotted her daughters lounging on the ground and hurried over to greet them. As she glanced toward Hawk, sitting a short distance away, she was taken aback by the change in his expression. "It seems your father looks much better today," she observed. "He's doing far better than you'd ever imagine," Zanina said joyfully. She then confided in their mother about their father's sudden memory loss, explaining that he seemed to have forgotten the events of the past few years entirely. As they spoke, Sarah kept watching Hawk, unable to comprehend how his burdens had seemingly vanished overnight. Finally, Zanina gave her the answer she hadn't dared to voice. "I prayed last night, and a miracle happened." Eva added, "We must be patient with him, remind him of happy memories, and avoid any mention of Erica, the criminal organization, or the army." Soon, the sky darkened with thick clouds, forcing them all to return inside. Each resumed their usual activities. Hawk lay down to rest. Sarah busied herself with housework. Eva lost herself in the melodies of her beloved piano, and Zanina sat before her mirror, deep in thought as she brushed her long hair.